If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. You heard me, it's free. What's better than that, right? Anchor also makes it easy by giving you creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more listening platforms. Best of all, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started so that your voice can be heard.
You're listening to Season 3 of Show Talk with Trevor. Wait a minute, can kids listen to this?
I don't think so. What's up, Straight Talk Society? This is your host, Trevor, and I'm back with another episode of Straight Talk with Trevor, the podcast where no topic is off limits. All right, I got a special show for you guys tonight. You know that since the inception of this show that I've always stressed my love for the Black community and how I feel like we're behind in so many areas. And I think that the way that we can kind of close that wealth gap is through home ownership. And I've always stressed that. But for many of us, we don't know where to start. We don't know the process. We don't know anything. So don't worry. Your boy's got you. So what I did tonight, I reached out to a friend of mine that's a realtor. And we're just going to talk tonight about home ownership, the process, what it takes to get qualified, things like that. And who knows where this conversation may end. I may end up having to put her on the hot seat. Who knows? But without further ado, I want to introduce you to my guest tonight, Miss Kimberline. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. So you heard my opening, so you know what tonight's show is about.
Absolutely.
So first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in real estate?
Oh, wow. So I've always had a love for real estate. I used to work at a foreclosure firm not even a few years back. I think that was about 2015 when I left the foreclosure firm. And I decided then that I wanted to go into real estate, but I had some delays. And I finally decided to take my course 2017. I had a car accident that year, so I did not take the test until 2018, a whole year later. So here we are now.
So you've been a realtor for
Just 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
And how has that transition been?
It's been amazing. It's an amazing business. It is the key to wealth. And I started off with Keller Williams. I started off with one brokerage in the beginning. And then I came across my current brokerage, which is Elite Realty. She's a Black-owned female. And what we strive to do is show our people that we are the face of real estate as well.
So you work for somebody. That was going to be my question.
Every realtor has to hang their hat at a brokerage unless you are a broker. So you work for yourself. You're a 1099 employee. Whatever you do is what you do. But you have to work under a brokerage, and they get commission off of your money.
They got to get it some type of way.
They have to get it. Yes.
Yeah, because I really don't know anything about this. So, all right. So if I was gonna buy a house, tell me why I should choose you as my realtor.
Well, first of all, I'm very personable. You start the process with me. I get to know who you are, what exactly it is you're looking for. I get to know your family setting, what your goals are, what areas you're looking in, and basically your timeline. So we start with that. We start with a rapport and getting to know each other. Then we go to the process of connecting with one of my lenders, in which we do a free consultation to see where you are financially, also with your credit.
And from there, you're either approved immediately or you're given a guide or a plan to help you get to where you need to be within those next 6 months to a year or 2 years or whatever the case may be. That all depends on where you are.
Okay, so you work with the lenders then. You work directly with the lenders?
I have a few lenders that I choose to work with, yes.
Okay, so you heard what I said at the beginning. This show is very black centric. So I always focus on my people first. And I just want to throw a number out at you. So there's roughly about 330 million people in the United States. Of that 330 million, 47 million are black. At least that's what's reported. So pretty sure it's probably, you probably could add 10 more million to that.
Right.
So of those 47 million people, black home ownership is only at 44%, which is, it hasn't grown that much since the 60s.
Correct.
So since the 60s to we're now in 2000, well, these numbers came from 2021. So since the 60s until then, home ownership has hovered between 45% for black people. But it's 75% for the whites in this country. So how do we tighten up that gap? Because I guess what I'm saying is we in April 11, 1968, the Fair Housing Act was signed, which makes it illegal for discrimination and everything for housing. So we can't really use that as an excuse anymore. That, oh, we didn't get the house because they discriminated on us and things like that. So
it still happens though.
So it does still happen, okay? Because you're in the business. I'm just talking. I'm just a dude with a microphone. Right. So that's why I got you here. So you tell me, have you seen instances of this?
Statistics show that a lot of times we as blacks have more trouble getting a mortgage than a white person or someone of another race. We can't really get into, who's behind it or whatever the case, but it's just what it is. Also, it is, even as realtors, we get discriminated against. So, for instance, my married name was Brown. I could request a house to see a home for one of my clients, and they would see my last name is Brown and say that home is already taken. Those are things that's happening to us right now in today's day and age. So not just our people get discriminated against, we as realtors still get discriminated against in this industry. It's just what it is. So what we strive to do with Elite Realty is try to, as you say, close that gap by being elite black realtors and being able to show our people that we can represent them, we can educate them, and we can help them as much as we can get into a home. Not saying that a white realtor can or won't. Of course, there's plenty out there. But I know that it would be, a lot of people would be more comfortable coming to someone who can understand their struggles.
So, okay, so your client base, it's a mix. What's the mix like between black, white, Hispanic?
My client base is majority black, but I have had white and Hispanic clients as well.
So your client base is majority black. How many of them actually get into homes though?
I've never had a client who was approved and we were looking for a home that didn't get a home so far.
Okay, that's good. So what do you say is the biggest deterrent from people pursuing home ownership? Because I've always heard, and I could just always use me as an example. For me, it was always that upfront price. So, because you get a FHA loan on a $300,000 house, you're looking at a lot of money. Then you kind of double that for closing costs and everything. So you can come out of $20,000 easily. Most of our people don't have that.
But if you look at the amount of money we're paying in rent each year, you're spending way more than $20,000 on rent, which is not an investment, which is something you'll never get back. So what we have to do is change the way we think and change the way we think about money. So the reason why we're lacking is education. Another reason why we're lacking is just we don't believe in ourselves. I come across a lot of people who just automatically say, well, I wouldn't be able to buy a house. And I start asking them questions and probing them. And I'm like, well, what's your credit score? Or how much money are you making? And there's people that qualify that just in their mind just automatically think they can't purchase a house. Or sometimes don't even think to want to purchase a house. So a lot of times it's been our upbringing. I will say this, and people may get upset, but
hey, this is
we're not. A lot of
is
times our mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers didn't raise us and train us. Get your credit straight, buy a home, educate us on what we need to do, and the white people they train their kids up to learn about money, to learn about investing, to learn about purchasing property, to learn about taking care of their credit. So a lot of times it's just the way we're raised in our mindset. And if a lot of times, even so, we're raised in apartments. We grew up in an apartment all our life. We don't even think about home ownership.
So I'm glad you said that because it always comes down to a mindset with me. I always drive home the thought of changing your mind. So our people, as much as I hate to say it, or they may not want to admit it, our people rely more on faith than actually getting things done. And what I mean by that, our people have a mindset of God will just drop a house out of the sky for me. A credit score looks like crap. You don't have two nickels to rub together, but God's gonna drop a house, out of the sky. And we got to get out of that mindset. I mean, we really got to change our mindset and get out of that way of thinking. So what would be the optimal credit score? I mean, because our credit scores in our community aren't always good. So what would be an optimal credit score that you try to get before you even start the home buying process? Because you don't want to be stuck paying crazy amounts of interest.
I would say at least a 640 to get a decent interest rate. You can get a home with 580 FHA,
Oof.
but you want to, reach for higher than that if you can, so that you can get something decent. And you want to, interest rate is everything. So you can get a higher priced home, and if you have a great interest rate, then you're still able to afford that home. You know what I mean? So you want to work on your credit. There are tons of companies and free education in this day and age to help us work on our credit. We can even work on our credit on our own. You can go to freecreditannualreport.com. Every year they allow you to pull your credit report on all three bureaus. You can pull your report, you can review it, you can dispute whatever is not correct. You'll know what's on there, so if there's anything you need to pay off. But just start working on your finances, start working on your credit, start working on saving and educating yourself. So go to a professional like myself to get educated, to ask whatever questions you may need. And I always encourage everyone to also do their own research, but there's so much information out here today.
So, okay, because we hear this excuse a lot too, that so in our community the deck is stacked against us pretty much. And when I looked this up, I was shocked, but the average income in the black household is a little under $46,000.
Correct. And that you said household.
Yeah. So that's why I had to read it. I had to read it twice. I was like, what?
Statistics show half of Americans, not black, white, whatever, half of Americans, period, make $30,000 or less. So when we look at the average income of people, and then you put, so say you have two people making 25,000, that's where you're getting your numbers pretty much about $50,000, 40 something thousand dollars a month. That's still, you're still able to afford a home. You just have to be smarter with your money.
What kind of house though? I mean, if you're making, if a household is bringing home 50,000, that's 50,000 gross.
You're not going to get the home of your dreams.
So okay, so why settle then? So if you're not going to get the home of your dreams, why not keep renting?
Because the whole point of getting into real estate and owning your own is to create wealth. So your first home may not be the home of your dreams, but it's a starter home. And later on down the line, 5 or 10 years down the line, you're able to use that equity to purchase another home or to purchase an investment property or to start a business or many other things that you may want to do that's going to create wealth in your household or bring in extra income. So we have to look at it as an investment. You have to look at it for what it's really made for. Not everybody can just, your first home, especially as an FHA buyer, that's not going to be your dream home 9 times out of 10.
So,
But it will get you into a property so that you can start building wealth.
okay, so you wouldn't. It's almost like you're settling on a man, you know, like you got your ideal man that you want, but instead of getting that ideal man, you're gonna now settle for this because you kind of don't have what it. I mean, and I get it because I have a friend that told me that his rent is $2,400, which is insane. So I agree. I mean, I'm a big proponent of home ownership, and I remember when we bought this house, the first thing I said, I was like, well, we finally broke the generational curse,
Right.
because now we have a tool where we're a player now. We own land, you know, so we own a house now. We aren't paying somebody else's mortgage anymore.
Right.
So, okay, so let me ask you this question. How has COVID affected the housing market?
Oh, tremendously. So since COVID began, the housing market has rose about 40 something percent.
How?
So houses that were $300,000 2 years ago are now $450,000. And one of the reasons is because inventory is at an all-time low right now. So with inventory being low and we have such a high demand of buyers, the prices are going to rise. So every house that's coming on the market, you have about 20 to 30, people competing contracts to get that house and paying above price. So with inflation, which is what we're also dealing with right now, we're naturally going to deal with inflation about every 30 to 40 years. It's just the inevitable. The housing market has suffered as well. So you can go look at a house right now that's $450,000 and you're like, this is not a $500,000 house. But unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with in this market.
But how is that a good thing for the buyer though? Because again, so now you're in COVID, and we know a lot of businesses shut down during COVID. So people aren't, so of that 50,000 that they were bringing in annually, now you may even cut that in half because somebody now lost their job. So what hope really is there? Like, what's the hope? Where's the hope?
There really is no answer at this moment at what we're dealing with. It is a nationwide housing crisis. It is a nationwide housing shortage. The crazier thing is it's not just purchasing a home, it's the rental market as well. So people's rents are being raised $500, $600, $700 a month. And in that case, absolutely, I would rather purchase something that belongs to me than to pay you this amount of money for rent. But a lot of people are stuck where they have no choice right now. So we have to become wiser. We have to come together. Households have to come together and figure out, hey, within the next year, we need to save this amount of money so that we can get in the ball game to purchase something.
So what do you think about this? I always thought, and I always say that if I'm ever in the position to do this, I would buy, like, like how you see on TV on these shows sometimes, these family homes. And when I say family homes, I don't mean like the wife and the kid. I mean families, multiple families living in the house. Why don't more of our people do that? So you look at any other race of people, especially the white people, and yeah, because you're looking at me. This is that type of show. So I hold my people to a higher standard. I could look across the board. I could look at Spanish people. They'll pack up 10 of them in an apartment to try to save money,
Right.
so that they can buy a house or do something. You look at white people. Yes, they do have an advantage sometimes. Their parents are rich or whatever. They hand down money. But they'll have these big houses where all the other families live under this one house, like in the state. So they're keeping all the money, they're keeping all the wealth in that family. But then you have us. We get some money. One of us just moves out and forgets everybody. Where's that mindset that to say like, hey, let's build something. Let's pool our money together. Let's buy a rundown apartment building or something. Let's buy some duplexes. Let's do something to get that family under one roof. What happened to that? Why don't we think like that?
That's a deep one. We lost that. It's not that we were never brought up that way. I mean, when my mother, everyone was coming up, there was 6 people in the household, 6 children, then the parents. There was always the big family. Nowadays, unfortunately, for whatever reason, we have so much division amongst ourselves. Whether it's family, friends, whatever the case may be, we don't know how to come together. Everything is always as if we're competing against each other instead of helping one another. And I can't really say personally where that has stemmed from. I just know it exists.
Oh, you can say where it came from. Okay, so you say that because you say that there's a divide, that you don't know where this division comes from, and
it also comes from, even mothers and fathers. So here you have the government offering you, certain benefits or whatever to keep the father out of the home. And that's a whole nother issue in itself. But if you want to ask me, that was embedded in us way back from slavery days, where they took the men out of the homes. And they made women feel like it was okay because the men were out of the homes and they were still okay. I think that stems way far back.
You're gonna make me ask you this question. I'm trying not to ask you this question. You're gonna make me ask you.
No, you don't. Let's do it.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it yet. Man, I want to ask you this question so bad, but I'm not gonna do it. So okay, so what would you say? What would you say to that person that because a lot of people have given up on the American dream. Somebody like me who wasn't born in this country, I always had aspirations like, man, this is what I want. I want the white picket fence. I want the house. I don't want to live in an apartment all my life. And I worked towards it and I got it. But I think our people now, they lack motivation. They don't know about hard work. So with them, it's like, if it's not happening right then and there, they just, they don't want it. So what would you say to somebody that's saying like, hey man, I really I want to someday own a house, but I'm only making minimum wage. I got a couple of kids, and the way the housing market is going now, I'm literally being priced out because I tell you, even in my neighborhood, the houses are going like crazy.
And they are up there.
Yeah, a lot of people. The white people are buying up all the houses over here.
And
it's just, it is what it is.
That's a whole nother story in itself as well, because we used to own the block.
Yeah,
our grandmothers and grandfathers owned the block. So the generations that came under them how did we lose these homes?
They
When
sold.
grandma passed away, when granddaddy passed
They,
away.
they sold grandma's house for a Mercedes.
Yeah. So if you go down the street right now and you look at it, we may be living in them, but we're renting them. We don't own them anymore. So how do we get back to where we own our own homes, to where we have our neighborhoods that belong to us?
We were walking in the neighborhood, and we took different routes, and I was like, God, I didn't know so many white people lived though in this neighborhood. Because again, like you say, this is our neighborhood. I mean, I grew up over here. I've been my dad's had his house for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I grew up in this neighborhood. I went to elementary, middle, and high school in this neighborhood. And it was never this many white people here. And it's like every time I see a for sale sign, they're the ones buying the houses. Why aren't our people reinvesting back into our communities?
We're not. We're mishandling our finances. If you speak to most of us today, how many of us can say we actually have a savings, or that we have some type of assets? It's not many. It's not many that I've come across. So we are just in a position where we need to get back to the basics and figure out how we can get in the game. Look at Bitcoin, for instance. Bitcoin 10 years ago, I never even heard of it. I'll tell you personally. But there are numerous white people that have made millions by putting their money in Bitcoin 10 years ago. So we have to figure out what we can do as a people and come together and be on the same page to get back to building our own wealth again, because it's never going to be an even playing field in the United States. I will say that. What United States considered poverty level is $30,000, and that's what most people own. Most people earn. So that in itself is just, you have to figure it out. There is tools now to where you can get extra income and create businesses and do what you need to do. We're not hindered from that, but we have to do it. And a lot of people are content with whatever they have right now. They're not trying to do anything more. So a lot of times I can't complain about what I don't have if I'm not using every resource or avenue there is to do more or get more. A lot of people do not know anything about low income loans. That's a whole nother avenue. USDA has direct loans that are specifically for people of low income. It takes a while. It takes maybe about 4 months or so to get that program. Credit score is not an issue. How much you earn is not an issue. Being on food stamps is not an issue, but you have to go through the process. So we have to start researching and understanding how we can do what we need to do as a people.
I've never heard of that though. So where would people begin to look for stuff like that?
Come to a real estate professional and ask them, how do you find out about USDA direct loans? They are available. And it is a process. But everybody, if they really put what they need to into it, can own the American dream. It's a process. It's a frustrating process sometimes. Sometimes it's a smooth process, but it is worth it. I always said that I was going to own my first home by the time I was 30 years old. I was 34. It took me a little longer, but I did it. And at that time, as a single woman, I was able to sign a mortgage. So we all can do it if we really want to. I cleaned up my own credit. I went to I went to a housing counseling program, the 8-hour program. I went to a first-time home buyers program at that time. I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? So, again, whoever does not know what to do, come to someone like myself so we can help guide you on how to get to that place.
So when we okay, when we decided that, okay, we're going to buy this, we're going to buy a house, it was because we were at a 4th of July get together. I want to say, I think it was before COVID. Yeah, I think it was before COVID hit. And I remember on the way home, I said, you know what? I want that. I want to be able to have family get-togethers in the backyard. I want to be able to do this. And we reached out to a lender, really good guy, man, Chris. He was awesome. And, you know, he ran our credit and everything. And surprisingly, you know, we were pre-qualified for way more than I ever thought. But
see what I mean? You think you can.
Yeah, because I was thinking, because again, and I had already started working on my credit. Yeah, I mean, because I had real shitty credit. Like my credit was like really, really bad. You know, at one point I got my credit almost to an 800. You know, it was like, it was really, really bad. But yeah. I did things. I got it up there. So we got the house, and I just think it's been like the biggest blessing, because like I feel like now I'm on an even playing field. I may not be on an even playing field out in the world because I'm still a black man in this country, but I feel like now I have an asset. You know, it's good going to the mailbox now, and I have people sending me letters like, hey, your home has this much equity and this and that. And then when I see how much the value has gone up over the last year, it's just like, man, we made the right decision. So I really, you guys know on this show, man, I push home ownership, you know, like nothing. I mean, I just push it to the moon. So that's why I wanted to reach out to Kim and say, hey, would you mind coming and talking about it? Because I know a lot of us are just embarrassed, first of all.
Which is why I said they need to see us being able to represent them. So you may feel more comfortable coming to myself than you feel going to someone of another race, because you are embarrassed about your situation. The wonderful thing about that is that I'm not here to judge you. You know what I mean? What I'm here to do is help you get on the right path, to set you up with a lender, to see where your credit is, to see what we need to work on, to say this is what we need to have you save in the next 6 months to a year, or to find you a first-time home buyers program. They exist. You know, so whatever it is you're seeking, do not be afraid to go after it, because who are you embarrassed in front of? That person's not paying your bills. You know, a lot of times we worry about the wrong things.
So listen,
I had to learn that within the last 3 years of my life. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Let me tell you a funny story. This will be the first time anybody's hearing this. The conversation about home buying had came up probably the year prior, and we so we know you as a realtor, and then we have another realtor friend. And I was asked, would you mind if such and such would be our realtor? And my wife will tell you what I told her. I told her no. No, I said, no, I don't want them to be my realtor. I want to go with somebody else who I don't know.
Yeah.
And I asked her, and she asked me what the reason was. And I said, because I don't want them to see like how shitty my credit is, because I was embarrassed at the time that it was so bad, and I didn't want somebody that I knew. Just, there we are again with that image thing. It's
exactly.
Like we care so much. We care so much about what other people think. And on this show, I'm always transparent. You know, you guys know I'm an open book on this show. But there was a time where I didn't want people that I knew getting that much access to me, because then they would know, like, man, this guy's made some bad financial moves and things like that. But, you know, I got it all squared away and everything. It's all good now. But I just wanted to share that story, just so if anybody else out there is thinking like, man, because I know somebody else out there is thinking the same way I am. Go. I mean, just go, man. I mean, people have laughed at you for less. I mean, just go, man.
And that person's not supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
If you're a true professional and this is what we do, your information is always confidential. And if if you're a realtor, let me just say this, because you do have bad realtors out there. You do have realtors that are more money driven than they are people driven. So do your research on who you're going to. That person should care more about helping you than they care about getting that deal. That's always. If you're not going to be happy or satisfied with what we find and what I'm showing you, I don't want that for you. You understand what I'm saying? My job is always to make sure you're happy and you're satisfied. My job is to make sure your goals are being met. My job is to make sure that you're able to use that tool to continue to build wealth. So you always want to make sure the person you're dealing with is a professional and that they truly care about the people. And you'll understand that when you talk to that person. There's a lot of money driven people out here in business. And so understand that all seeds are not great. There are some bad seeds, and that's in every industry. So you still want to vet your realtor. You want to vet your lender. You want to vet the people you're dealing with so that you have the best process in this situation.
All right, so we're gonna close this section, this interview, shortly. But before we do that, give out your information first, and then I want to touch on your other venture afterwards. But give out your firm and how they could reach you. I mean, because I know a lot of people. I've had 2 people already in the past week ask me about buying a house. I don't know why the hell they're asking me, but so I just want to point them in the right direction.
You actually can find me on Instagram. My name is Kimberline, Kimberlene. It's Kimberline is my realtor. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Kimberline L. Vitelli, your realtor. You can reach me. You can call me anytime. My number is 954-822-4106. I am here all the time to answer any questions you may have. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I am here to help you. So I would love for anybody to reach out, even if you just have questions. That's what we're here for.
So let me ask you before I forget. What's your inventory like, as far as the houses that you? I may not be saying this right, but like the houses that you show, or how does that work? Do you have a list of houses that you have that you may show clients, or do they have to search for the house that they want? How does that work?
So all realtors have the same access to the same homes. So we have our MLS system where we search and find homes. Sometimes we're lucky enough to find off-market properties for you, or someone else in our firm may let us know, hey, this is coming on the market. Do you have a client that's looking, first? So things of that sort. But yes, we all have access to the same system.
Okay, I didn't know that. See, I'm learning, because I thought every set of realtors, every firm had their own set of houses. Like, it was like, okay, no, you can't touch this house. Or if you had multiple realtors and they both have to share the commission, or I don't want to get in those weeds, but all right. So besides being a realtor, you have just opened up a spa. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. This weekend will actually make 3 months that I've been open. I'm super excited. I have been super busy, and so I'm very grateful. This is something that I've always been interested in, beauty, since I was a child. But in the early parts of the pandemic, I decided I wanted to go ahead and go to school for an esthetician and open my own spa. That was my mission from the beginning. At times, I didn't know if it was going to happen. And I kept speaking it into existence. So I kept saying before the end of 2021, my spa would be open. Before the end of 2021, my spa would be open. And November 6th, 2021, that South Florida Glow was open. So yes,
That's awesome.
A full specialist esthetician. I offer full body waxing, facials, lash extensions, brow, all beauty. I have 2 permanent makeup artists that are in my building, and a makeup artist as well. So we're doing extremely well. I'm excited to be a Black-owned spa here in South Florida. I've gotten a lot of just well wishes that I never expected. Unfortunately, it's hard to, it's sad that we think that way, but the amount of love that I've been shown, the amount of congratulations, the amount of blessings that people have wished me is just unbelievable.
From Black people?
From all races. I had
specifically Black people.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was one lady said she's been in the industry since 1972, and she doesn't even know me. And she says that God is going to bless you. And I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but we have been busy. So it is amazing to be this early in business and to be getting the amount of people I've been getting in. So I'm extremely thankful.
How do you find time to do both, though?
I make it happen. Superwoman.
So let me ask you this question.
I'll be honest. What has helped is that real estate is a little tough right now, as far as people being able to get what they want. So I'm not running crazy with real estate as I normally would because of the market right now.
So push come to shove, and you had to choose between one or the other, which one would it be?
I would not choose. I would keep real estate part-time. That is still my love, my baby. What I choose to eventually become is an investor. Not so much an agent that's running around. So that's my goal in the next year, is to have at least a portfolio of 10 plus properties. So that's what I'm working towards. And the spa itself is going to turn into just my own brand of product line and courses and things of that sort. So it's just an empire that I'm building right now.
You know why I asked you? I asked you specifically Black people because I'm pretty sure you're well aware it's hard to try to get anything off the ground and expect our people to support us.
Everybody's not going to support you. Trust me.
I mean, it is like
all of my friends and family have not been there and gotten a service. I'm not expecting that. And what we realize in business is that it's strangers that build your business. It's not your friends and family.
Absolutely.
So when you understand that and you have the right mindset and not take things personally, you keep thriving.
The majority of my listens to this show comes from people I don't even know, that I've never met personally. Exactly. It's like yeah, the support from friends and family. I mean, it is very it's lacking. They're there for you once you're on top, but when you're trying to build from the ground up, it's like, yeah, they're nowhere to be found. And I mean, it's just, you just kind of got to deal with that. I guess it's a fact of life. What's the address to that place, to your spa?
It's 4810 West Commercial Boulevard. In Tamarack. It's appointment only. So you can also follow my Instagram at That South Florida Glow. I'm on Facebook as That South Florida Glow as well. And feel free to call me 954-822-4106 if you have any trouble, if you'd like to set an appointment. The website is www.thatsouthfloridaglow.com. We're extremely excited about the future. So
men also, or just...
I do offer gentlemen's facials, not not men Brazilians. I have had some inquiries, but I do offer gentlemen's facials, which is awesome to give men that men need love too. Men need skincare, relaxation, pampering. So we do offer that service.
Brazil, okay, because I'm naive to all this. Brazilian wax, that's the one where they...
That's what they tear it off.
Pull your butt hair.
Yeah.
I don't personally know why any man would want to do that, but I guess...
There are men that get them. There are men that even come in for chest wax or back wax, things like that. It's not just Brazilian. But I only offer services for men to come and get a gentleman's facial right now. So...
Okay, so with that said, anything else you want to say before I heat this thing up a little bit?
No.
As far as the home buying process or anything like that.
I just want to.
How's that tequila?
Tequila's smooth.
Okay.
It's great.
I forget the name
Yeah.
of it, but
Yeah.
you guys know I'm drinking Crown Royal. So, okay, because you touched on it earlier, and I wasn't gonna do it to you, but I have to because we got a couple of minutes left. But when we were talking, you were talking about the government like doing things and programs to keep the man out of the house, which I agree on.
Okay.
So, but my thinking of that is that it's a deeper thing, because if you want to tear up the black community, you tear it off at the head.
Exactly.
And I think it's all out warfare against the black man. And I think stuff like this is why Facebook keeps banning my show, but whatever, I'm going to keep saying it. So, do you agree with me or not, that it's all out warfare against the black man?
I do. And that is for several reasons. Number one, that's just the way it's been since the beginning of time, dealing with the outside world. But now, we deal with it in our households. And that is not his fault. But a lot of times it is not his fault. So when you have a lot of women out here who love claiming to be independent, who love saying they don't need a man, you're raising your children to feel that way as well. So they feel like a man doesn't need to be in the house. They feel like a man can't tell them what to do. You know what I mean? They feel like they can do everything without a man. This is the generation we're raising. So again, there are plenty and probably majority of situations where it is just now the mindset that's been developed by the woman. But of course, there's always situations where the man has caused, this issue as well and cannot be in the household. So we need to do better as a people, period, and keeping our families together.
I'm glad you said that. I bang hard on my brothers on this show, and the majority of my listeners are male. So, and that's why I do it, because I always want my brothers. I always want better for my brothers, but it's hard. It's hard enough that we got the man on our back, and then you got to come home to Miss Independent. That treats men like a pet, basically. Like, it's just like a little puppy dog. So, so as independent as you are, so you're telling me that you would rather have a man in the house. You're not one of these that's like, I don't need a man.
Oh no. I can't see my life without a black man. I can't see my life without a black king. Not to touch on anything, my previous situation was completely different. But I have someone in my life now. We're not in the same household. But I love a black king. There's nothing in this world that I would do to give that up. So I don't understand that mindset where women say they don't want a man or need a man. And I'm not saying you need a man to you're going to die. But why are we so comfortable without having that family dynamic? I don't understand that.
Because it's been embedded through us in the media. You notice we're the only race of people that say that. Have you? I mean, and I always take correction if I'm wrong, but I don't hear white women running around here talking about I'm independent and this and that. I don't hear it. You don't hear it. Why is it always our sisters that's doing it? Always, I'm Miss Independent. I don't need a man. I don't, why is that?
Because we're broken and we're bitter. And like I said, a lot of our men have caused these situations as well. So a lot of women don't know how to come out of that mindset of being bitter and broken, or just basically having a defense up, because a lot of women who say that are not happy. You can tell by the way they carry themselves, the attitudes they have. Sometimes I'm like, why do you walk around with this attitude? I don't understand it. But a lot of people are just bitter. A lot of people are broken. A lot of people, we need counseling. That's a whole nother thing in the black community. We need counseling. we try to be strong all the time. We try to, act as if nothing bothers us. We need counseling. We need to get down to some of our deep rooted issues. That goes for me and anybody else.
So let me ask you this question on the spot. Do you think there's a divide between the black man and the black woman?
Yes, there's a huge divide because the majority of people I know, unfortunately, are not raising their children together. And that was even myself. Why are we not raising our children together? Why are we not building wealth together? Why are we not teaching our children what it is to have a loving marriage and a healthy marriage and mother and father on the same page? Why is it so hard for us to do that? How do we even get back to the basics on that? That's a long way off. Very long way off.
Well, you know my stance. The Straight Talk Society knows my stance that we as a people I don't think we'll ever progress past a certain point if we don't get back to where we used to be. And that's the black man and the black woman coming together, living in the same house, as long as it's healthy. I will preface that because I've always said some of my brothers are pieces of shit. I mean, it is what it is, and I call them out. But if you can't be so quick to just throw somebody in the trash can for little mistakes. I mean, if he's beating on you or whatever, then get out of that. That's unhealthy. But until we get together, we'll never get back on top where we need to be until we get back together. We get that, and here's that word again, we get that nuclear family back together, and we're, like you said, raising our kids together and building wealth together. Just communicating. And you guys, we do need some counseling, man. I mean, listen, I do a show like in between guest shows where I just do a therapy session show. And I'm actually going to do one this weekend. We need some counseling, man. We need to heal from a lot of stuff. We're a lot of broken people.
Very.
A lot of us were raised without fathers in the house, and a lot of our moms had to be both mom and dad. But just because she did it doesn't make it right. And now we don't need to project that onto the next generation. So I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you think the black man has failed the black woman?
That would be too broad. That would be way too broad.
Okay, yeah. We need more time for that one. Let me bring it back. Do you feel protected by the black man?
Certain ones, absolutely. They still exist. We have great men in this world. Men that want to do right, men that want families. Yeah, we're in a messed up generation. Don't get me wrong. We're in a generation where nobody takes anything serious. Nobody takes having kids serious. Nobody takes marriage serious. We are in our children have a lot to do with. Let's just say that. But I think that black men who have failed us, so to say, is because of things that they haven't healed from. And what I'm learning at my age now, and the older you get, the more wisdom you should get. Everybody is the way they are for a reason. So we're always so quick to say, this person's like this, why this person like that, that person is probably dealing with something or never dealt with the issue. A lot of times it stems from childhood, but that person is that way for a reason. And unfortunately, we're not talking about like super toxic, where, you know what I mean, it's super unhealthy, but everything is not, shouldn't be so quick to walk away from. I'll just say that.
And I'm going to end the show with that. On that note, I mean, I know this started out as a show talking about home ownership, but I always find a way to weave that divide between the black man and black woman in there some way. And it's going to be a constant. until we get back together, because you guys know my stance. And I think in order for these kids to do better in life, they need to see mothers and fathers working together. And that'll make them more productive citizens in this world, and that'll make this world a better place. So with that, I want to say thank you to my guests. You were wonderful. I thank you for all your information.
Thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you. I mean, hey, listen, I'm a loudmouth. I just run my mouth on the internet, but you...
Now, you don't hear men speak. I listened to your first few episodes. You don't hear men speak the raw emotions and truth. And that's what we need to hear. So it's very impressive. It was very impressive for me to hear that.
And I appreciate that.
Very proud of you for that.
I appreciate that. I've known Kim since, I want to say, elementary school. Yeah. So it's always nice to hear your childhood friends say things like that about you. So again, I thank you for coming in. I thank you for the information, and hopefully somebody reaches out to you, somebody visits your spa. If you do visit her spa, just please let her know that you heard that you came to the spa via Straight Talk with Trevor.
You get a discount.
I'm not being paid for this or anything, but I always like to help my friends out, man. I like to promote my friends' stuff. So with all that being said, I leave you with these words. Always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them. And with that, I say peace.
If you can't get enough of Straight Talk with Trevor, be sure to like our Facebook page. You'll get page-only exclusives like links to early shows and behind-the-scenes video footage. You can also participate in polls that might shape future shows. The best thing about our Facebook page is that's where you can get in direct contact with Trevor. You can also leave show topics, reviews, or even request to be a guest on the show. Again, like us on Facebook, and thank you for your continued support.